Motivation gets you started. Habit keeps you going. Jim Ryan. Take a deep breath, because today we're going to talk about the difference between people who start and people who finish, between those who get inspired once and those who keep rising, day after day, storm after storm, until their vision becomes reality. Jim Ryan, world-class athlete, Olympian, and record-breaking runner, once said, "Motivation gets you started. Habit keeps you going." And in those 10 words lies one of the deepest truths about human performance. Motivation is a spark, but habit is the engine. The spark versus the flame. Let's start here. Motivation feels amazing. It's emotional, electric. It's that moment when you say, "I'm ready to change my life." You write the plan, you visualize the dream, you feel unstoppable. But then, 3 days later, a week later, the energy fades, the alarm feels heavier, the goal seems further away, the excuses start whispering again. Why? Because motivation is temporary. It's built on emotion, and emotions change. But habit is structural. It doesn't rely on emotion. It relies on repetition. That's the secret. Motivation is what gets you to take the first step. Habit is what ensures you take the next 1,000. Jim Ryan's lesson from the track. Jim Ryan wasn't just a runner. He was the first high school student in history to run a mile in under 4 minutes. He trained every single day, rain or shine, motivated or not. When asked how he did it, he said, "Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going." Because he knew, when the crowd is gone, when no one's cheering, when the pain hits, habit is what keeps your feet moving. That's what separates the amateur from the champion. Amateurs chase feeling. Champions build systems. The difference is not talent, it's discipline turned into habit. You see, motivation is a visitor. Habit is a resident. Motivation knocks on your door sometimes. Habit lives in your house, and that's what gives you consistency. Motivation is emotion. Habit is identity. Let's go deeper. Motivation speaks to your feelings. Habit speaks to your identity. When you rely on motivation, you're saying, "I'll do it when I feel ready." When you rely on habit, you're saying, "I'll do it because it's who I am." That's the difference between inspiration and integration. Inspiration comes and goes. Integration stays. If you want to change your life, stop trying to feel motivated. Start building the identity of someone who acts no matter what. Because habits don't need permission. They don't need energy. They just run. When you turn your goals into habits, success becomes automatic. The habit formation blueprint. Now, let's talk science, because habits aren't random. They're built intentionally, step by step. Here's the formula every habit follows. Cue, routine, reward. 1. Cue, a trigger that reminds you to act. 2. Routine, the behavior itself. 3. Reward, the feeling or result that reinforces it. Let's take an example. You want to start working out daily. Your cue might be laying your gym clothes out the night before. Your routine, showing up and training for 30 minutes. Your reward, the surge of energy, pride, and progress you feel afterward. Repeat that loop consistently, and the brain wires it in. Soon, it's automatic. You no longer debate with yourself. You don't ask, "Should I go today?" You just go. That's when habit becomes power, because you're no longer relying on emotion, you're relying on structure. From motivation to momentum. Here's the transformation path. 1. You start with motivation. 2. You use that motivation to build a habit. 3. The habit creates consistency. 4. Consistency builds momentum. 5. And momentum fuels freedom. That's the entire cycle of mastery, and it always begins the same way, with one simple decision to act even when you don't feel like it. Because when you move past the need to feel ready, you enter the zone where greatness lives. Motivation opens the door. Habit keeps you walking through it. The emotional trap of feeling ready. Let's be honest. Most people never reach their full potential, not because they lack motivation, but because they keep waiting for the right feeling. They wait to feel confident before they act. They wait to feel motivated before they start. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect day, the perfect alignment. And while they wait, their dream gets colder. You and I both know that perfect feeling never comes. The secret? You don't need to feel ready. You just need to begin. Action creates clarity. Clarity creates energy, and energy sustains itself through habit. That's the truth no one tells you. You don't act because you're motivated. You become motivated because you act. The neurochemistry of habit. Now let's zoom in on your brain. Every time you repeat an action, you strengthen the neural pathway connected to it. It's like walking through grass. The first few times, the path is unclear. But keep walking that same route, and soon it becomes a trail. That's what habit does in your mind. It carves a path so deep that it becomes effortless. The first time you wake up early, it's hard. The 10th time, it's routine. The 100th time, it's identity. This is neuroplasticity, your brain rewiring itself through repetition. That's why habits are more powerful than motivation. Motivation lives in your emotion. Habits live in your neural wiring. Emotions fade. Neurons endure. That's why champions win. The power of microdiscipline. Here's a truth Jocko Willink, James Clear, and Jim Ryan would all agree on. Small habits matter more than big goals. It's not the massive leap that changes your life, it's the small, repeated action that compounds. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to start. Small, consistent, and committed. 1 page a day becomes a book. 10 minutes of exercise becomes a transformation. $5 saved a day becomes a fortune. The point isn't speed, it's consistency. Because what you do every day defines who you become. Because now it's time to dive beneath the surface, beyond the quote, beyond the inspiration, and into the engine room of human transformation. If motivation is the match that lights the fire, habit is the wood that keeps it burning. Let's break down how you build habits that last, habits that become unshakable, unstoppable, and unbreakable. The psychology of habit power. Here's something few people realize. Your brain loves patterns. It craves routine. It thrives on predictability. When you do something repeatedly, your brain says, "Oh, we've been here before. Let's automate this." And it moves the task from the conscious mind to the subconscious system. That's why habits are so powerful, because they remove friction. You no longer waste energy deciding. You just do. That's how successful people protect their mental bandwidth. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day. Not because he lacked style, but because he didn't want to waste mental energy deciding what to wear. He saved that energy for thinking bigger. That's what habits do. They free your mind for higher level focus. So while others are still deciding, you're already doing. The habit cycle, a deeper look. We talked earlier about the cue, routine, reward loop. Let's go deeper. 1. Cue, the trigger that reminds you to act. It could be time-based, 6 a.m. alarm, location-based, entering the gym, or emotional, feeling stressed. 2. Routine, the behavior you perform, your habit in motion. 3. Reward, the satisfaction or relief your brain receives afterward. Every habit you have, good or bad, follows this cycle. You check your phone, you scroll, you get a dopamine hit. Cue, routine, reward. You work out, you feel strong, you feel proud. Cue, routine, reward. The key to building new habits or breaking old ones is mastering the cue and the reward. Want to break a bad habit? Keep the cue, change the routine. Want to build a good one? Attach the cue to something you already do. That's how habit stacking works, and it's one of the most effective habit building techniques in the world. Habit stacking, the secret of effortless growth. Here's how it works. You don't start from scratch. You attach new habits to existing ones. Example, after I brush my teeth, I drink a glass of water. After I drink my coffee, I write for 15 minutes. After I close my laptop, I go for a walk. You're linking new behavior to something your brain already recognizes as automatic. This reduces resistance and builds consistency fast because your brain says, oh, we always do this after that. That's how you reprogram your life. One small link at a time. The result? You no longer rely on motivation. You rely on rhythm. And rhythm is stronger than willpower. Why willpower alone fails? You've heard it before. Just use willpower. But here's the truth. Willpower is a finite resource. It's like a battery that drains throughout the day. Every decision, every distraction, every moment of resistance consumes a little bit of that power. By the end of the day, you're exhausted. Not because you worked too hard, but because you decided too much. That's why habits matter. Habits eliminate the need for decision. You don't choose to brush your teeth. You just do it. You don't choose to put on your seatbelt. You just do it. That's the level of automation you need with your success habits. Because the truth is, success doesn't belong to those with the most motivation. It belongs to those with the best systems, turning habits into identity. Now let's get to the heart of it. The strongest habits are not about what you do. They're about who you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with consistency, you'll always fight to stay on track. But if you see yourself as someone who follows through no matter what, your behavior naturally aligns. That's why the most powerful habit shift begins with the words, I am the kind of person who. Say it out loud. I am the kind of person who keeps promises to myself. I am the kind of person who grows every single day. I am the kind of person who finishes what I start. Your subconscious listens. And once it believes, your actions follow automatically. Identity drives behavior. Behavior reinforces identity. It's a loop. And once you reprogram it, you become unstoppable. Replace motivation with discipline. Let me say this directly. You don't need more motivation. You need more discipline. Motivation is what you feel. Discipline is what you decide. Discipline says, I'll do it whether I feel like it or not. And the beauty is, discipline eventually becomes habit. And habit eventually becomes effortless. That's why Jocko Willink said, discipline equals freedom. Because once you're disciplined, you don't waste time negotiating with yourself. You just do. And the more you do, the more results you get. The more results you get, the more inspired you feel. That's how you flip the cycle. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. The habit hierarchy. Let's visualize this like a pyramid. 1. Motivation, emotional start. 2. Discipline, conscious effort. 3. Habit, automatic consistency. 4. Identity, unconscious embodiment. At the top, everything you do becomes who you are. You no longer chase success, you live it. You no longer force yourself, you flow with it. That's mastery. That's freedom. Morning routines, the foundation of momentum. Let's get practical. One of the most powerful ways to rewire your habits is to master your morning. Why? Because mornings set the tone for everything that follows. If you start with chaos, your day becomes reactive. If you start with clarity, your day becomes intentional. Build a morning habit ritual. Wake up early, same time daily. Move your body. Feed your mind. Read, journal, meditate. Set your top 3 priorities. Visualize yourself crushing them. Do this every day for 30 days and watch how your entire life starts to shift. Because your morning is your anchor. And when your anchor is strong, the waves can't move you. You and I have come a long way in this episode. We've talked about how motivation sparks the journey, how discipline keeps the engine running, and how habits sustain your success. But now going deeper, because this final part, this is where you turn habits into transformation. This is where you move from chasing consistency to becoming consistency. Let's finish this strong. The war between old and new. Every time you try to build a new habit, there's a war happening inside your mind. The old you wants comfort, the new you wants growth. That's why it feels hard. You're not just fighting laziness, you're fighting identity. But here's the truth. The old you isn't your enemy. It's your foundation. It's what carried you here. And now it's time to evolve. Every time you take action that aligns with the person you want to become, you weaken the old pattern and strengthen the new one. One decision at a time, one repetition at a time. You're literally rewiring your brain. You're sculpting yourself from the inside out. That's not self-improvement. That's self-creation. How to break bad habits forever. You can't just remove a habit. You must replace it. Because habits are like roots. You can't rip them out without filling the soil with something else. Here's the 3-step method to do it right. 1. Identify the cue. What triggers the behavior? Is it boredom, stress, fatigue, or environment? 2. Change the routine. Keep the cue, replace the action. Instead of scrolling your phone when stressed, take a walk or breathe deeply. 3. Upgrade the reward. Replace the cheap dopamine with something real. Progress, pride, peace. The key isn't to punish the old habit. It's to outgrow it. You give your brain a better deal, and it takes it. Because your brain doesn't want destruction. It wants satisfaction. Give it that, and it will serve you. Small wins, big momentum. Let's talk about something crucial. The power of small wins. You don't need massive breakthroughs every day. You just need to win the next moment. Because momentum doesn't come from huge victories. It comes from tiny consistencies. When you make your bed, when you stick to your plan, when you say no to the thing that doesn't serve you, you send your brain one powerful message. I am in control. And that message rewires everything. You start walking taller, you start thinking clearer, you start expecting more of yourself. Those small wins compound, just like interest in your success bank. Every day you keep the habit alive, your value multiplies. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you've become the person you once dreamed of being. The momentum equation. Here's the secret formula every high performer lives by. Motivation, discipline, habit, momentum, identity. Motivation starts the fire. Discipline adds fuel. Habit keeps it burning. Momentum turns it into a blaze. And identity makes it eternal. Once you reach identity, you don't have to force it anymore. You are it. You don't try to be consistent. You just are. You don't hope to follow through. You just do. You don't wish for success. You embody it. That's mastery. That's power. That's freedom. Your 30-day habit challenge. Here's my challenge for you. Pick one habit that aligns with your highest self. Maybe it's reading 10 pages a day. Maybe it's journaling every morning. Maybe it's exercising before sunrise. Now commit to it. 30 days straight. No excuses. No breaks. No negotiations. Every day you show up, you're voting for the person you want to become. Every day you follow through, you're proving that you can. By day 30, you won't just have a new habit, you'll have a new standard. And standards are where real success begins. Final message. Don't chase motivation. Build momentum. Let me speak to you directly, one-on-one. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for motivation to come back. You don't need more sparks. You need a system that burns. Every great life, every world-changing business, Every legacy of greatness was built on the quiet repetition of simple habits. They didn't get there because they were motivated every day. They got there because they kept going, especially when they weren't. So make that your code. When it's hard, I show up. When it's boring, I persist. When it hurts, I push forward. Because I'm not driven by emotion. I'm powered by habit. And habit never stops. You've been listening to the Immortal Quotes podcast. This was episode 9. Motivation gets you started. Habit keeps you going. And if you take one message from today, let it be this. Motivation may open the door, but habit builds the kingdom. You have the power to create any life you want, one consistent action at a time. So take control, be deliberate, and let your habits shape your destiny. If this episode lit a spark inside you, share it with someone who needs it today. Because success doesn't belong to the chosen few. It belongs to those who choose daily. Follow and subscribe to Immortal Quotes podcast, where every episode unlocks a timeless truth to fuel your growth, discipline, and financial freedom. You and I, we're not just chasing greatness, we're becoming it. Teaser episode 10. The difference between successful people and others is how long they spend time feeling sorry for themselves. Barbara Corcoran. Next time, we'll confront something that silently kills dreams. Self-pity. Because every minute you spend feeling sorry for yourself is a minute stolen from progress. We'll break down how successful people face pain, rejection, and failure and turn it into fuel. You'll learn how to bounce back faster, think stronger, and rise higher. Because the difference between staying stuck and becoming unstoppable is how quickly you get back up. That's episode 10. The difference between successful people and others is how long they spend time feeling sorry for themselves. It's going to be powerful, raw, real, and it might just change the way you handle every setback in life. Until then, remember, motivation starts the fire. Habit keeps it burning. And you are the one who decides how bright it gets. This is the Immortal Quotes podcast. Keep rising, keep going, and I'll see you in the next episode.